Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, we are diving into Firebase Realtime Database and learning how to connect it with Python. In this video, we are going to be learning how to perform full CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete using Python and Firebase. Firebase is a powerful cloud-based database that allows you to store and sync data in real time across multiple platforms or devices. Whether you're building a web app, a mobile application, or even a backend system, Firebase makes data management seamless. By the end of this tutorial, you will know how to connect Python to Firebase real-time database. You will know how to insert new records, retrieve and display data, whether collectively or individually. You will also know how to update existing entries. You will also know how to delete unwanted records. And don't worry, I'll walk you through everything step by step. So whether you're a beginner or an experienced developer, you'll be able to follow along easily. So guys, grab your favorite code editor and let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is to set up Firebase. How do you set up Firebase? Very simple. Come to a web browser, whether you have a Google account logged in, a Gmail account, a Google account logged in. Just go to Firebase. You can just Google search Firebase, or you go to console.firebase.google.com. So you can see this first option over here. Just look to the base of the screen. You can see firebase.google.com. This is taking you to console.firebase.google.com. So just open Firebase console in new tab. If you don't have an account, you will have the opportunity to create one. So just follow the prompts to create the account and you're good to go. This is my Google console. These are some other applications I've created before now. Other software applications, database applications I've created for now. Just Firebase console projects rather. Sorry for the slip up today. So you create a new project. You call it Firebase tutorial, and I think that should do. Call it Firebase tutorial or whatever name that you wish. It doesn't have to be Firebase tutorial. So just continue. I won't enable Gemini. If well, this is optional, and I think it's free. I can just leave this for now. Continue. But I'll disable Google Analytics. I don't need it in this project. So create a project and you give it a minute to create your project. The project is ready. So just click on continue and it will route you to the dashboard of that particular project. You can see the project over here. What you want to do is to come to, you are not clicking on Cloud Firestore. What we are using is not Firestore. We are using the real-time database. So you come under build. Let me see all these options over here. You come to real-time database. This is the one that we are working with. So click on real-time database. It will bring you to this interface over here. Well, because I don't have any real-time database created yet, so this is the interface it's giving me. So just go to create database. You have some options over here to select the location of the database, I think. So just wait for it. I think my internet is failing me. Okay, so United States. Just if you're using this in a live project, make sure you are choosing a database location that is closest to your majority of your users for better user experience. So I will just leave it as United States. Click next. Then I will be using it in test mode. For the test mode, you can see the default rules over here. You can edit these rules. In another tutorial entirely, I'm going to be showing us how to do authentication and authorization. So just look for that particular video on the channel, and you can also look in the description below. Immediately I record that video and publish, I'll put the link in the description below. So basically what this is saying, you can read this. The default security rules for test mode allows anyone with your database reference URL, I'll show you the reference URL, to view, edit, and delete all data in your database for the next 30 days. Okay, that is what we are doing over here. So start in test mode, enable, then it will create the database. It will create the database. Um, Just give it some time to load this up. You can see the database is empty basically. The database is empty. So this is the database URL. Anybody with this particular database URL can send data to this particular database from any part of the world. They can send data to this database and they can retrieve data as well. In another tutorial, like I said, I'll show you how you can make all those modifications and strengthen the security of the database. So if you come under rules, you can see the read and the write. So for the next 1 month, anybody from any part of the world can, if they have the reference to this database, this URL, they can read and they can write. They can do whatever they want with this database. So they can modify existing record, they can delete records and all this. So you can also set this to true and also this to true, okay? But like I said in another tutorial, entirely we'll treat this. So go back to data, then under data, just this database URL, copy it somewhere, like note this down somewhere. So the next thing we want, now we are done setting the Firebase part. Let's go and start working on the Python part. So come here, I have an empty folder over here. Now, it is very, very advisable that you do this in a virtual environment. If you try to do this outside of a virtual environment, you might run into issues. So I'll open in terminal. So this is my terminal. For me to create a new virtual environment, I can just say virtual env. You can start with pip store virtual env. Okay, this will install the package with which you create the virtual environment. If you want to learn how to create and run your virtual environment, how to manage your virtual environment, come under playlist, come to the seasoned Python developer, you view the full playlist. Opening it in new tab, this is what I have, so you can just see the virtual environment tutorial over here. Open it and you get all the information you need there. We have so many other tutorials for Python developers that will benefit you. So come back to the terminal. On the terminal, just for me to create the virtual environment, virtual env, then Firebase database. Okay, so it have created the virtual environment. If you come to the folder, you can see I have a new folder here. If you open it, you can see the virtual environment. So come here and cd into vdd. So if I should list out everything I have, you can see it over here. Okay, so this works for Windows and for Linux as well. So for you to activate the virtual environment, just bin /active roots. Okay, and you can see my virtual environment is not active. So if you want to activate your virtual environment in Windows, after you've navigated to the folder where you have the everything that you want to work, the virtual environment, just scripts /activebooks. Okay, I think you're supposed to put a dot at the beginning. You're supposed to say .script/activate, and this will activate it if you are working on Windows. So moving on, the next thing I want to do is to install Firebase. So don't forget, I'm installing Firebase with my virtual environment active. Okay, my virtual environment is currently active. So that when I'm installing Firebase, I'm installing Firebase in this virtual environment, not globally on my device. So pip install Firebase. So just give it some time to install Firebase. So you can see the list of packages installed. You can see the other dependencies of Firebase. So it has installed request, Firebase, and I believe we are good to go. So the next thing I want to do, before we move further, come here. So if you look at the LID folder, Python 3.11 site packages, you can see all those other packages that we installed, then Firebase itself. So I believe we are good to go. So come here. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is to open this particular folder in VS Code. So open, no, can I do, let me clear the terminal, then just hold space period, and it will open that particular folder in VS Code for me. So let me zoom in. So this our work folder is now opened in VS Code. Okay, so I believe that will be all for installing whatever we have to install. So let's start to write our code. Now, don't forget what we are doing is CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. And this won't take us time at all. I can just open this and let me start with writing a main.py file. You can decide to write this particular the lines of code we are going to be writing in this main.py. You can decide to write it throughout your program, but that's no need. So let us just do something else. I can just say from Firebase store. No, what am I doing? Import Firebase. Okay, so from Firebase install Firebase. Um, from Firebase install import Firebase. Then after doing that, we have to the db underscore URL. So this db URL, come here. Then you can see this particular reference, this database URL. So copy the database reference URL. Come here, paste it here, and that is another step. And the last thing that we want to do is to create the Firebase objects. So you can say Firebase equal to Firebase dot Firebase application. Now, the Firebase application, we are going to be giving it two different parameters. We are going to be passing in our DB URL and the authentication. Don't forget, I said for this particular tutorial, we are not particular about authentication. In the tutorial that we come after this one, I will treat authentication in depth. So that would be DB URL, comma, none. So the authentication for this one is going to be none. So let me save this. For all our create, read, update, and delete, we're going to be needing these three lines of code. It will be on all the files, but I won't want everything to be messy. So create another file and let's now work on the create.py. That is the create function, okay? The create function. So for the create function, we will have to import this Firebase object into this create function. And what can we do? I can just say from main import Firebase. Okay, so if I should click on this, you see it is referencing this one. So don't forget, this is Firebase and this is also Firebase, but the one that I'm using in this one, or to make it less confusing, let me say Firebase app. Okay, so Firebase app. So come here, this will be Firebase app. If I should save this, and I save this. So this is the create. Now for us to finish this function, to create, to add a new entry into our database, what I want to do is to create the data that I want to be adding. So I can just say data equal to create a database objects. Let me say name. The name is going to be homogeneous. Then I'm going to be having, after the name, I'm going to be adding age. So age. Then for the age, I can have something like 17. Then height, I can have something like 40, 4.35. Then I can just say school. The school is going to be Unilab, okay? Probably Akokite, right? So the next thing I want to do is to print the results. Okay. No, before printing the results, you have to add the data to the database. I'm looking at my notes. So results equal to the Firebase app. Okay. Dot get, no, dot post rather. So I'm posting now. If you have a database is a collection of tables. Okay. So if you look at this database that we have over here, we don't have any tables in this database. So what can we do? We can just specify the table where we are going to be adding this particular data. And what is the name of the table? Let's say, for example, students. So I'll just say slash students. Okay, so students will be the name of the table. Then the data I need to pass into that table will be data. So basically, I'm having a students table. Don't forget, this particular database is empty for now. But if you come here, no, if you come here, I'm going to be creating a students table, basically students folder. Then I'm going to be adding this data under this particular directory. That is the table, if that's how you get it better. So from keyframes, import Prints. So this is just a more advanced version of the print function. So instead of using print results, I'm going to be doing pprints instead of print. So save this, and then you can see everything. If you want to run your code, you can run it from the terminal over here. Just make this particular file executable, then you run it from here. But I just like to run with this play button over here. But before we move forward, let us try something. So this is my my Python. This is my Python code over here. I want to show you that this is actually real time. Come here, then I'll bring my Firefox somewhere here. I want to show you that this is actually real time. Let me come and collapse it. So this is the only thing I'm going to be having. So move this. Okay. So if I should run this code now, you just take note of what is happening here. Run the code. You can see the output over here. Just take note of the output, and you can see it created the entry. It is returning the ID of this entry that we just created. Come here. This particular data, after adding it to the database, it gave it an ID, so it just returned that ID. If you come under students in the database, you can see over here. Don't zoom in this one more. So you can see the students, you can see the ID that it's returned. This is the ID, the same ID that we returned. And you can see the data that we added. The name is what? Halogeneous. The age is what? 17. And you can see just exactly the data we added. So let's make a bit of modification so we can add 2 more entries. So I can just say this is Chris. Let me say 12. Let me say 6. No, double tutor 5.15. The school is Fred Holy. Then let me say Fred-Poly. If I should save this and I run this once again, just take note. You can see real time, real time, real time. So the only thing that can slow down this particular process over here is just your internet speed. That is the only thing that can slow it down. So you can see it is returning the ID once more, and you can see the ID, you can see the entry. So adding one more, I can have David, well, let me say Emmanuel, then the age, let me say 24, let me say 3.86. Then for the school, let's say LASU. So just save this and run it one more time. Just take note of what is happening. You can see the name and you can see the entry over here. Everything under the table of students. If you want to add this to a different table, just change this table over here, this directory over here, and that is it. So that is all for you creating data. Okay, that is all for creating data. So now what if you want to read all data? You can see I have 3 entries over here. If I want to read all the entries, it is very simple what I have to do. Just come here, create, let me say read all.py. So for me to read all I have to do, okay, I'm going to be needing this too. Copy, paste it, then I'm also going to be needing this last 2, just some parts of it. Copy, then paste. So don't forget, I did Firebase app.post initially, but now I want to read data, so this will be Firebase app.get. Okay, and I'm getting from where? I'm getting from students. Now, don't make the mistake of not adding anything here. Okay, so this particular get function will require you to enter the table or the directory where you want to read all the entries from, and also you are going to be supplying an ID. Okay, in this case now, if you look at this, you can see the URL and the name. Okay, so the URL that we are supplying is student, the name that we are supplying is none. So the name basically is referring to this ID over here. So if you don't supply anything for this second argument over here, you will run into errors. So, but if you want to, if you supply, for example, one ID, then it is going to be giving you only this data over here. If you supply just one ID, it will be giving you only this data. But if you set it as none, then it will give you everything in that particular direction. So save this and run this one more time. So you can see what is giving me here. Let me expand this a bit. You can see what I'm getting over here. So you can see the name and the data, the name and the data. You can see for this last one, the name and the data, and it corresponds with the data that we are having over here. Just take a good look at this. So, don't worry, I'll sort it out. So moving on, that will be for read all. Now, for what if I want to read a single data, like just one entry? If I want to read one entry, I can just come here and read single. That would be read single rather. Okay, read single.py. So for me to read single, just copy this read all and paste this over here. So instead of passing in none here, I'm going to be passing an ID. For example, if I want to get the data, this particular data over here, this is what I want to get, I can just copy this ID, copy, then bring it here as a string, paste it. And if I should save this and I run this again, just give it some time and it is going to get me that particular data. Oh, my internet. Okay, so you can see the age 17 for halogeneous. You can see the ID, correct, and this ID is fetching me age 17 school unilag, and you can see everything is working fine. So basically that is how you can read all and read single. Now for you to update any of the entries is very, very simple. Let us update this one. Okay, let's update this one. So if I want to update, I can just say updates.py. So for this updates.py, I'm going to be needing this too. Actually, I'm going to be needing everything. For this updates.py, I'm going to be needing, the only thing I have to do here is Firebase app.put rather. So for this Firebase app.put, I'm going to be saying slash student, then slash the ID properly. Then after putting the ID, I'm going to be entering the field that I want to edit. So for this particular ID, let me change the height to 3.25. So that will be height. I'm going to be changing the height, and the value is going to be 3.25. 3.25. Okay, so save this and run this. Now it is returning 3.25 as the new height. So what if I want to read this particular single file to confirm that the height initially that was 4.35 is now 3.25? Let me copy this particular ID, then go back to read single. I think that is the same ID that we have here. Let me just paste it to be sure. Then let me read single once more, run it. Okay, you can see initially the height was 4.35, but now the height is now 3.25. So you can see that the update actually works. So for the last one, which is the deletes, just come here, deletes.py. This is the simplest of all. So to delete a record from the database, all you have to do is very simple. You can come to this update, for example, or let me come to read simple, copy this one, then come here and paste it. Then after pasting it, the next thing you want to do is just to change this one to delete. Okay, so for this delete, you're going to be supplying the URL and the name. This is the URL over here, basically the database table where you want to delete something. Then you have the name over here. This is the name. Don't forget, this is the name. So just delete. You have the URL and you have the name. So some things happened under the hood. That's why I jumped here. So moving on, for this result, I think it's going to be returning none. So you can just print record deleted. Okay, record deleted. So save this, then just have to run the code. Then after running the code, uh, you can see what is happening now. The record is gone, and you can see record deleted. Record deleted. So that is how you can delete your record. So that will be all for the CRUD operations basically. I've shown you how to create where you start from. We started from creating the database, the Firebase project, then creating the real-time database. Then we went into installing all you need for installing the packages all you need, which is the Firebase package together with the request. The request installs just after if you pip install Firebase, then it will install the request automatically as a dependency. So from there, you come into your main.py file, you say from Firebase equal to Firebase, you create the Firebase app that is going to be taking your database URL and the authentication, which is none. Then from there, we discussed how we can create, read all data, read single data, update data, and we can delete data. So basically, this is everything. This is everything. So check out the channel for the tutorial where we'll be discussing authentication and authorization so that only persons with certain level of clearance can access certain data or perform certain action. Because for what we are doing so far, anybody that has this particular database reference can access any part of your database. They can create new tables and create new entries and all that. So just make sure that you go through the tutorial. If you have any questions or you require additional information, please, the comment section is open. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.